Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. This is the Hoopsters League of Action Heroes. We are an exclusive website for children, parents, and schools. One of our subjects that we love to talk about is health and nutrition. And today we have with us two very special guests. We have Ruchika Dawar and her son Gunmay Dawar. Hi guys, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Ruchika is a holistic health coach. She's a plant-based nutritionist. She's a yoga and nature cure therapist and ultra marathon runner, and the founder of Our Health and Wellness. And her son also has a great interest in cooking. And we will see how these two follow a healthy lifestyle and how they make it fun for themselves and can give you also some tips. So you guys are ready? I have a lot of questions to ask you guys.
Sure.
Yes,
we're ready.
Before we begin, with the actual subject of today's show, which is how to make healthy eating fun. Okay, I want to know, why did you guys agree to do this interview today?
One of the key reasons that I thought, we should do this interview today is because in these gloomy times, we all are, looking at things and getting depressed or worried about things which are beyond our control.
Right.
Most of the things, the COVID situation, or when the third wave, or finally when it's going to settle down, lockdown, all of that is beyond our control. But what is in our control and what we are losing out is not focusing on what we are feeding ourselves. And that is one of the key things to build your immunity. Just
Right.
popping pills does not give you immunity. It is a long-term process. It is what we eat. So it's very important to be focused on what we can do. Things
Right.
that I can avoid or I can improve upon is my own health. So the whole purpose was getting to connect with more families, with more people, and even if they can pick up one or two things what we discuss and talk, I think we've just achieved the purpose.
Well, I hope they do. I hope you guys are listening and listening well. So tell me, Ruchika, how did you get interested in nutrition? Tell me how it all started.
Sure. So he's the one who got me into nutrition.
I see.
Yeah. So actually, Gunmay had some health issues when he was very young. And I wasn't going to work that time. I was with him 24/7. And that is what, bothered me even more, that why is it happening? He's not in the care of a nanny or a daycare. I am giving my 100%. So, as a mother, it was very daunting for me to kind of see, where am I lacking that, my child's health is failing. And I've spent a few years in nightmares, literally, getting various tests done for him, and, running from one doctor to the other, keeping him on medicines. And to a point where I would go with so much of data to a doctor, and they would be amazed. I have food logs for him for like 3 years, 4 years. Every day. You ask me in 2013 what he ate today, I can show you.
Wow.
It's
Impressive.
those kind of food logs. So
Right.
it just got on to me too much, and then I decided that enough of it. Let me dive deep into this field and learn. So he's the one who got me into it, and with all the changes that we made and we followed, it's been 5 years. He's off medicines. We don't visit the doctor. Touch wood. Thank you.
Touch wood, definitely touch wood. And it's wonderful to hear that, Gunmay, you're doing well now. So we know that you are the one who got your mom interested. So what got you interested in cooking? I know you take workshops and everything, and you're just 13 years old. So tell me, how did you start cooking?
It was I was always a big time food lover, and and it was really fun to watch my mom cooking. So it was just honest in the starting. It was just like maybe one time start, and then later it got more fun and more interesting.
He would spend time with me in the kitchen, or just pass me some some vegetable from the refrigerator, pass me, wash it, and just give it to me. And that's how his interest developed, actually.
Oh, very interesting. So, um, it's very nice to see kids interested in the kitchen. I mean, I remember when I was a kid also, there's small things that we like to do, play with the chapati dough. And, I think kids always have an intrigue towards cooking. And it's great that you've taken it this far, yeah? So I'm going to make sure that one day I see you cooking and probably get something to eat also. So now that you spoke to us about, your interest in nutrition and you started, inculcating these habits in your daily life, tell us what major changes did you notice from the time we were not following these habits to the time when you started following them?
Okay, sure. So I won't even discuss his case. I'll tell you about mine. I had thyroid, hypothyroidism. I was taking medicines for 4 years. You got to have your thyroid pill early in the morning, the first thing. So I did that for 4 years. I changed my lifestyle. I changed my food. What the input was wrong. So I corrected the input, the output automatically improved. I am off medicines from 2017 and my thyroid levels are normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I am thyroid free.
Wow. I run a dance studio in Pune, which is called On It Studio, dance and fitness studio, and we have a lot of people who come into us with lots of issues, and thyroid is one of them, one of the most common issues that people face today. And
Right.
most of them are told that you need to change the way you eat, you need to start exercising. But the moment somebody says diet, that person has lost interest forever.
Yeah.
They might have actually found some interest in coming for a group session or a dance class or whatever, but the moment one of our nutritionists tell them, you need to follow a better diet, they won't show up for class after that.
True.
That's the word diet has a lot of, oh, you're dieting, you have that kind of approach to it.
The mental block with diet is it comes with a lot of restrictions.
Right.
And immediately when you put restrictions, the mind wants to fight it out. Right. So it's very important to understand what you're eating, why you're eating, and how it benefits you. Once you understand how it's going to nourish my body, your relationship with your food changes. The acceptance changes. So that is what is missing. So we take it as a punishment, I got to lose 10 kilos. So it's all the weight loss tamasha that happens. It's everyone just bothered about that. Right. So I'm going to lose 10 kilos. Okay, with this diet, will I get to 5 by this month or 6? So there's always a calculation at the back of the mind. We are not establishing relationship with our food. We are not understanding what we are eating.
Right.
And that is the challenge. And that's why diet means too much of restrictions, and none of us want that. We want our freedom.
That is true. The moment you say no sugar, no this, no that, they just run. They just run. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But what does healthy eating mean to you?
So healthy eating to me means connecting with my body. The food that I'm consuming, my body accepts it. I feel more lighter. I feel it is nourishing my body rather than, after a meal, you feel, oh my God, last night I ate so much, I can't even look at food today. That is not healthy eating. The food is there to nourish us, not to exhaust us further.
True.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask Gunmay a question. Gunmay, you also eat healthy, which is pretty rare for somebody who's as young as you. We all loved our pizzas and pastas and our chocolates and this and that. So how do you make your cooking fun so that you're able to eat everything that you want, but you're still staying healthy?
So you just alternate, for pizza, the dough is made of maida. So you can just make it of whole wheat flour, and your cheese, so you can just alternate the things that are unhealthy, and there is always a good alternate to it.
Wow, yeah. I'm getting wisdom from a 13-year-old. It's so amazing.
By the way, he makes yummy pan pizzas.
So when you're calling us over, man. So you
Yeah,
talk about,
kids need pizzas and all of that, but you have to
yeah.
look at alternatives, how to do it, how to make it more appealing, and also, health-wise, it doesn't hamper the kids.
And this, I think there's also a very big aspect to eating, which is your mind.
Yeah,
Eating is not just for your stomach. You need to feel good about the food that you eat as well,
absolutely.
right? So when you talk about holistic eating, okay,
Yeah.
tell me how you incorporate both the body and the mind, because that is my understanding of holistic, where it is your whole.
Absolutely. So holistic health, when we talk about it consists of 5 aspects to it: your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social. So it's very important to be in the right company. Also, if you are with people who are always, eating a lot of junk food, it's very difficult for you to sustain in that kind of an environment and follow healthy eating habits, because there's a lot of peer pressure, especially for kids.
Right.
There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of peer pressure. Thank God I'm done, and I wasn't brought up in the Facebook and Insta world.
Right.
Too much of pressure.
Right.
Yeah. So it does become challenging. So it's very important for them. And a man is a social animal. So your social circle is one that lifts you rather than pulls you down. That's very important to have the right circle. Emotionally, you should be able to, as what I had said earlier, also connect with your food. See, a lot of times we don't know how to deal with our emotions. And that includes even the elders. You're feeling low, so okay, let me grab a death by chocolate, or anything else just to feel good. You won some contest, or there's a celebration. How do we go about doing it? Again, we need good food. So if you're feeling low, you need food. You're feeling good, you need food. You're getting bored, what to do? Let's just open the fridge, see what's available. So we are doing a lot of emotional eating, because we are not expressing our emotions the right way they should, but
Right.
we are using food as a medium to do that.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to for even adults and for children to learn how to deal with our emotions and not come back to food. So socializing today is all with food. You catch up with friends for meal, for coffees, for dinners, breakfast, and we are so busy talking at that time or socializing that we don't even really know what we are consuming. We are not eating with our 5 senses there engaged in the food. We can't be multitasking when we are eating. You don't, it's more robotic then. You're not connecting with your food, and which is a very important aspect while you're eating, to be able to build that relationship with your food.
Right.
Yeah.
As much as people try to incorporate these things, I cannot imagine today meeting a friend without, I don't know, a coffee or something like that. Need some, there needs to be something with us to keep us, I don't know what
Yeah,
that is,
I know,
but
I know what you mean.
right?
I know what you mean. It's like you go, even if somebody is coming over, so we all
Yeah.
automatically assume it will be for lunch or for a coffee or
Yeah.
something. But you really don't need. And that's why I think we are lucky enough in Bangalore. We have places like, I don't know if you heard of the Dialogue Cafe.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so these are places where you meet up, but there's no obligation of the food. You can pay per hour for the table.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so these are the kind of things we need, yeah, rather than every time just meeting up. And evening time, if I'm not used to a coffee or something, but I have to meet up with someone, so it's a social obligation on me to gulp down a coffee down my throat. No.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. When we go out with our friends, it's usually to where do we catch up? In a restaurant or, a place like that. And
Yeah.
nobody's going to let you sit there without ordering.
Yeah, so luckily, I think the concept is slowly coming up, and we do have one or two now. After the COVID settles, Not sure how many of these would be open, but
Right.
we did have something like this called the Dialogue Cafe, where you would pay for the hour,
Right.
the
Very
place.
interesting.
Yeah,
And
so it's like you're actually focusing on connecting, and you're not clubbing two things simultaneously.
right, right,
Yeah, and then it's like, you're able to eat only when you're hungry rather than because of social obligations. So a lot of times when we catch up in the evening, you would have ordered something to munch, and a cup of coffee, and you actually didn't need the two of them.
yeah,
So it's like mindless eating.
right. You're right. And we're all guilty of it, I guess.
Yeah, at some
So,
point in
like you
time.
said, peer pressure, peer pressure is a big, big thing,
Yeah,
especially when
yeah,
you're younger. So, Goodman, tell me, when your
yeah.
classmates, your classmates are eating chips, are eating that, are eating this, do you ever feel like, oh, I would like a bite too? Or are you completely like, no, I don't want to? And you will tell them, hey, listen, you got to eat better. How does that
Like
work?
in the early stages, yes, like maybe very rarely, but no, not now.
And what do you tell? Do you ever tell your friends that, you could eat healthier?
I mean, yeah, maybe once or twice, but then after that, it's their choice.
So coming to that, that is an important thing that we need to speak about is choice. How people make a choice of what they want to eat.
Right.
Now, some people are really desperate. They probably have terrible health issues like PCOS, or they have, like you said,
Yeah.
thyroid. And some people are struggling with cholesterol issues. And they come to us and they say, you know what, I'm ready to do anything because my doctor said if I don't do this, I'm going to be hospitalized, or, I'm going to have a serious health issue. And they start very diligently. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe a week, maybe 15 days. And after the cycle goes back, there's something or the other. घर पे कुछ
Right.
हुआ, office में कुछ हुआ, something or the other, and it goes back to a vicious cycle. Now, how do you stay motivated?
So it's very important. Here comes the social, aspect that I was talking about. Being in a community of similar people, similar like-minded people, keeps you going, keeps you motivated. For example, even let's say if it's an ex-person, now in the entire family may not be following or may not be so open to make so many changes in their diet, but this X person is ready to do it because they want to work on their health, right? So it's very important for them to have a support structure if they are working with a nutritionist, be in constant touch. Like, for example, when I work with individual clients, I monitor every meal of theirs. Every meal, every day, every meal of theirs is monitored. So they get a feedback on every meal, what they are eating, is it right? Or if then changes, immediately we work on the next meal. We don't wait till the next appointment. We start working on the next meal and work on it. And you need to have your end goal in mind and do not try and preach it to other people. People are only
Right.
bothered about results.
Right.
When they see you going off medicines or being a more fitter, healthier person in terms of your energy levels, in terms of overall health, then people want to follow. But if you say to them, people don't want to follow. So I think it's very important to know what you want and being committed to it. And a lot of times we falter, like there may be a team outing or, a birthday in the family, and you've eaten the kind of food that probably very heavy food, and you feel, oh my God, later guilt sets in, and, you kind of keep moving back. It's okay. We're all human. Move
Right.
on. Next, coming back to track is all the more important.
Right.
Yes, so that's very important. That's happened. Okay, fine, admit it was one of those days. And then that one of those days doesn't become the norm. So you move on and get back to track, working on it.
So being from, like the dance and the fitness fraternity, I also know a lot of really uber healthy people. They're
Yeah.
very committed to their diet. Like they eat the same, they've been eating the same food for, I think, the last, 4 years, 3 years, and
Right.
very commendable. But what I've really noticed with these people is that they still have a very unhealthy relationship with food in terms of, if I did not get to eat at this time, suppose they have decided, okay, every day I'm going to eat 6 meals. And one is going to be at 6, one is going to be at 11, one is going to be at this, and one is going to be at that. And 11 o'clock, for some reason, they were unable to have their meal.
Sure.
I have seen them develop a lot of anxiety. They get angry, they get frustrated, you know. So where does one strike a balance? I mean, what they're doing is very commendable. It's not easy to do, to follow such a diet. But where do you strike that balance? How do you stop yourself from going into that, you know, negative space
Absolutely.
just because of food?
No, you can't be doing that. The key thing is every day is different. Every day the tasks that we are expected to do or the tasks that we do are different. Every day our energy levels are different. You wake up, you are, it's a different mindset. Some days are more taxing physically, some days are more taxing mentally. So you, and we are not robots that, you know, I have to have my fruit or a juice at 11 a.m. and if it's 11:30, oh my God, no, it's just okay. So that's the whole point. So I don't follow the clock pattern. You eat when you're hungry. So if I'm hungry, I may eat my lunch at 1 o'clock. If I'm not hungry, I may eat my lunch at maybe 3:30. So for instance, today I ate my lunch at 3:30. Which is absolutely okay because I wasn't feeling very hungry. My workout today was a quick workout. It was a short, quick workout. So I wasn't really hungry. The body is not craving food. You need to connect with your body, be able to understand subtle signs of the body, and you know, then take a call when you're hungry and eat. And that's the simple rule applies to the children as well. Now, what we do is like how we put the kids to school and there's a set routine. Unfortunately, most of the parents set a routine for the food as well, for the children. You know, at 10 o'clock is milk and 12 o'clock is then a fruit, 1:30 is a lunch. And even if the child is not hungry, when they are small, they are able to connect with their bodies, but we are making them detached and, you know, not helping them continue with the connect. And we say, no, 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 it's your fruit time. You have to eat it. Even if the child is not hungry. I think we need to learn to respect when the child says that, you know, I'm really full and I don't want to eat it and I'm not hungry.
Right.
You know, we need to understand that the child can listen to what the body is saying. The mother cannot listen to the child's body.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's an individual only who can listen to the body. The stomach will let you know that I'm hungry or I'm not. So it's absolutely okay. If at 11 o'clock the child is not hungry, there is no need to force feed the child.
Right.
You can leave it and then maybe just give the child lunch, and the child might enjoy or will relish the lunch much better than what he would if he was fed something in between.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does healthy eating consist of? What are some ground rules to follow when I want to switch to a healthier eating pattern? Not really for a particular goal like, you know, muscle building and thing, like a normal average.
Normal. I think, yeah, completely agree. A very simple way to do it is keeping it extremely simple. So some of the key things that we just need to avoid is avoiding packaged foods. Now, packaged food is a big problem on its own. You know, packaged food consists of a lot of chemicals and preservatives, which are very harmful to the body, be it the children, be it adults, be it elders, for everyone. Packaged foods, because packaged foods are added with preservatives, which unfortunately make sure the shelf life of the food is long, but when they go into our system, the life of our organs get shorter. So there's a direct proportion between the packaged food shelf life and our internal organs shelf life.
Right.
So that is one thing that we need to avoid, because what is happening is with the increase of packaged foods available to us today, a lot of those diseases which we heard at our times in maybe people in their 40s, we're hearing of kids having it in their teens. a lot of kids have, I am working with a lot of kids who have autoimmune disorders like thyroid, kids having obesity, kids having diabetes.
Right.
Juvenile diabetes is also on the is on rise big time.
Right.
And one of the reasons is packaged food has a lot of sugar, has a lot of artificial flavors, taste enhancers. So the moment you have one, for example, a frozen food smiley or something, you can't just stop at one. Then you want another one. That's when they've done their job well.
Right.
The taste is so enhanced for you that you can't stop at one.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but all of that is really, really harmful for our system. If you leave a frozen food out, any frozen food or any packaged food, any product, you leave it out in the open, even if you leave it out for 4 days, 5 days, nothing happens to the food. It's dead food.
Yeah.
Even the insects and the, insects are also not eating it.
Yeah.
So why should we consume it?
Absolutely.
See, in our busy lives, we're trying to simplify our life by picking up all of this and doing a quick fix. But, now this is like being penny wise and pound foolish. And what we are compromising is on our long-term health.
Very true. And, there are a lot of these diets that have come about today, which people are pretty,
tell me about it. Yes, you name it, whether, and thanks to Google. So people just read, this is it, and I should go ahead and follow. And it's always around weight loss. And, there's by Diwali, I need to look my best. By Christmas, I need to look my best. I'm going on a holiday. So my pics need to be Insta pics. So, I need to lose weight. Those are the targets or the things that people look up to. But what happens with most of this is when we are following a particular diet type, okay, be it keto, be it Atkins, be it GM diet and various other diets, they are not holistic diets. They will always say it's either cut out on your carbs, increase your proteins. You are missing out on one of the major nutrients. Now we need all of that for our body to function well.
Mm-hmm.
Our body is a very, very complex organism. Humans are a very complex organism, and the body needs various minerals, nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients in the right proportion. Now, when you follow a diet which is completely avoiding a particular type of nutrient, over a period of time, our body becomes devoid of it. There is negative balance of that particular nutrient. That opens up a plethora of other challenges which you never had in the first place.
Yeah.
So why do all of that? Why not eat balanced and do the simple approach? Why try and catch hold of the nose from the other side?
Yeah, I think it's mostly like you said, they have very short goals, and like small, like I'm getting married in 6 months, so I need to lose this much weight, or I'm going, like you said, a vacation or Diwali or New Year's. New Year's is your favorite time. By New Year's, I need to look good. I need to wear my skirts and this and that.
Resolutions.
Yeah. So, sometimes it becomes like I know a lot of people who follow intermittent fasting and swear by it.
Yes.
And ideally, if you really think about it, I could be wrong, but like my grandmother and all that used to eat earlier. They used to eat their dinners early. And it was basically intermittent fasting. So as by 8, they finish their dinners. The next meal they would have would be at around 7 the next morning, which is a good 11 hours.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll tell you about intermittent fasting. It's again a concept sold by the West. Actually, in India, we were always, this was a lifestyle.
Right.
Okay, and we never called it as intermittent fasting or the numbers attached to it, 12 and 12, 16 and 8, and 20 and 4. Those are all marketing by the West, and we are like now swearing by intermittent fasting. But if you go back 2 generations before, that was our lifestyle. That was a typical lifestyle where we finished our dinners early before sunset, and the next, we didn't had so much of a concept of a breakfast, so we ate a brunch kind of a thing, and then we just had fixed 2 or 3 meals. That's it.
Yeah.
That's typically what intermittent fasting is. But unfortunately, a lot of people are eating anything and everything, and immediately when they want to go on a diet, rather than first improving that, they quickly jump onto the intermittent fasting thing. Okay, and it's like an extreme switch for the body. So it's always better to go slow. First improve or cut down on foods which are not good, then slowly move to intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting period also, you build it up over a period of time. You don't straight away go to a 16-hour or an 18-hour fasting window. You can probably start with as low as 10 hours of gap, slowly work on bringing your dinner closer to sunset, and then you get a bigger fasting window when you wind up your dinner early. The other challenge what I see is a lot of people in the morning when they want to have their breakfast after workout, and they end up having black coffee during the fasting period.
Right.
Now, during the fasting period, having coffee is actually making the body more acidic. In terms of weight loss is okay. I mean, you will still get your result, but you are adding caffeine into your system when you are fasting. The first thing you should be giving it is food which is rich in vitamins, minerals, and simpler foods, not caffeine and acid going into your system.
Yeah, coffee, black coffee, though, I know. They load up on black coffee.
Yeah, so during the intermittent fasting period also, if they want to have their breakfast at 10 or 11 and they have had a workout, so it's like sipping in a cup of black coffee.
Right. So do you agree that the best thing to eat is what your grandmother used to eat?
Absolutely. They had wealth of knowledge, and we were so busy behind aping the West. And today, if you walk into a supermarket, the section of real food, when I say real food, is actually what is grown on the soil, are fruits and vegetables, legumes, nuts and seeds. It's a very smaller section, and it's confined to a very small area. And if you see the other section in the supermarket, is all with aerated drinks, chips, biscuits, packaged foods, and whatnot. And every now and then you see so many brands into coming with frozen foods, packaged foods, all, you name it. And today, everything. I never personally, I never thought that in a place like India, even frozen mashed potatoes would sell. But I've been proven wrong.
Yeah. Even canned beans and all of that, I just never thought they'd sell in India.
Yeah, okay, canned beans, I could still, okay, it will take more time. You forgot to soak them for longer time and you've just opened a can. Yeah, but I agree. But mashed potatoes is something I just find it just so funny. Like,
yeah.
But people would still want to buy a pack of mashed potatoes and put it in the freezer. That's something it's how much time does it take to boil, some potatoes?
And then mash them. Just mash them.
Yeah, I mean, and what you get in the market, mashed potatoes are not really mashed potatoes. They have a lot of other, again, taste enhancers, vegetable oils, sugar, saturated fats, and of course, preservatives to keep them lasting you longer.
So when we talk about sugars, when you say sugar, can you tell us what exactly you mean by cutting down on sugar? Because like we said, grandmother's diet is the best diet. They would consume a lot of jaggery. They did consume some amount of even white refined sugar. So what does cutting down on sugar actually mean?
See, today, as I was just, before we were talking, all the packaged food today, Right from your namkeens to your biscuits to your breads, all your bakery items, your frozen foods, all of them have sugar in them. Yeah, so you have to really be aware of when you say cutting down or completely wiping out sugar from your diet, because you'll have to cut down on a lot of these products. So, for example, like cookies, you don't get jaggery based cookies outside. You get all those, even the best of brands are all with sugar, and of course they come with added preservatives to it. So the best is to, it's very simple to get the kid on a Saturday or over the weekend afternoon, and use those cookie cutters, whatever shapes they want, and just bake few of them with the best of flour that we have at home, and simple jaggery. You know what you're feeding your children.
Right.
And the aroma of the baked cookies in the house is just awesome.
Yeah, so now we come to the fun part of our talk, which is making healthy eating fun. Okay, so
Yeah.
Gunma, you have to tell me how your mom does that for you.
Yes, so almost everything that she cooks, it is really tasty, and like the stuff like we don't like, which are supposed to be unhealthy. Like you can take noodles, or you can even take any stuff that's unhealthy. I do consume it, but obviously it is an alternative, and it is way tastier, and it makes it more fun. And even while cooking, if you just know that whatever you're cooking is good and it's going to be healthy and delicious, it just makes it super good.
Okay, and tell us, do you remember what the first dish you cooked was ever?
Uh, I'm not sure. I think it is very, it's a very small thing. It's just a sandwich, a peanut butter sandwich.
When he was younger and would just be hands-on with things on their own.
Right. So was this something that you asked him to make, or did he just say, "Hey, mom, look, I made a peanut butter sandwich"? How did that happen? I mean, why I'm asking you this is because I really cannot remember when I first cooked something, and I want to see if you can remember. I just can't. Like,
No, I think, I used to go to work, and kids would have a set of keys when they came back from school. So we would enter home at more or less the same time. But, 10, 15 minutes here and there always happens. So they could manage. I have two boys. So for us, kitchen is not a gender specific role.
very good.
So at least, they're not sitting and cribbing, oh my God, mom's stuck in traffic and, I can't eat anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So simple stuff like this, they were able to put it up for themselves and manage. So
Right.
slowly, with that little bit of, management, then they got involved a little more. And summer holidays, now since the past two summer holidays, it's locked up at home. So he's out right from cookies to garlic breads to pizzas to burgers to cakes, and those are all without any added preservatives, refined flour, no maida, no sugar, no eggs, no butter, and we
Okay.
do.
So you mostly recommend a plant-based diet.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yes, there are, you have animal milk also, the cow milk, which is the most popular one. But there are these plant-based milks also, which are more superior to the animal milk that we have. And in terms of the nutrition, that gets absorbed better by our body. So for example, the coconut milk is the only milk which contains lactic acid, which is only found in mother's milk.
Okay.
Yeah, so why would I not give my child a coconut milk than a regular cow milk or an almond milk
Right.
than in comparison to cow milk?
And what about meat consumption? I mean, people who do eat meat do contest that there are certain nutrients like your B12 vitamins and all of that, which are higher in their
B12,
composition.
yeah, sure. B12 is a very, very small amount that is needed by the body. Animals also do not make their B12. It is found in the soil. So when we eat a whole food plant-based diet, we are eating foods which are high in fiber. We eat foods which are, we do not remove the peel of a lot of fruits and vegetables. We consume it as it is. So there is no deficiency of B12. We try and get organic sources of, source it organically. Then there is no problem. And the other important factor is to spend some time in nature as well, which is the key to get your vitamin B12.
Oh, interesting. And how is that?
Vitamin B12 is found in soil. Let the children play out in mud and in the park or outside also. It is so important. See, we've been locked up in our homes since 2 years almost now. Your immunity is not built by being locked up in rooms and, being there.
Absolutely. Agreed on that, because I feel like
it's just causing too much of a mental stress now.
Right. So do you say that a non-vegetarian diet is completely unhealthy?
See, I wouldn't say that. What I want to say, see, it's a choice again. Every meal that you consume, it's either fighting for you or it's fighting you away from the disease or bringing you closer. The choice is one's individual. But a lot of people give this thing about, where am I going to get my proteins from?
Proteins, yeah.
Don't eat meat. With meat, the protein that you're talking about is very little. This more amount of protein is there in your humble chickpeas.
Okay.
As compared to the meat. Meat also brings with it. So if you compare chicken and chickpeas, your chickpeas have more protein in them as compared to the chicken. And plus the chicken comes with it with saturated fats, cholesterol, yes, animal fat. Your chickpeas is all devoid of that and gives you this protein.
Right.
Yes, plus the digestion time is longer. If some of you have a little bit of doubt around, growing child and, if I cut off on meat, I would request you to watch this Netflix documentary, Game Changers. Yes, you have the world's best athletes talking about it and saying that we've been fooled all these years and we thought, because I lift weights, I need to have so much of meat. My meat consumption needs to be a bigger portion on my plate. They turned vegan. Virat, let's not go to West. Let's talk about India. Virat Kohli turned vegan and he said that was one of the best decisions and it improved his game tremendously.
Right.
So it's not just becoming leaner or fitter. It is also about improving at what you are, at what level you are. Your energy level will go up definitely. Because the body is not spending that kind of time in the process of digestion. It's an eye-opener because myths that we've been living with. So I would request most of you who have a doubt around this to please watch it out on Netflix, Game Changers.
All right, because see, again, I think about a fact about humans is that they were hunters before they became gatherers. They started out hunters and then they figured out we can eat these fruits, we can eat that. Then they started agriculture. Agriculture came much later. So we would assume that humans are meant to be carnivore.
We were on fruits earlier. We were
fruitarian. From fruits? We were completely fruitarian?
Yes, we were completely fruitarians. Today you have so many people in the world also who are completely fruitarians and they're doing absolutely fine. But that's something way too difficult.
Yeah, I mean, these are the arguments that we, have with the veg.
Let's just discuss about children.
Absolutely.
Let's
So,
just make sure that our kids eat healthy. When I say
yeah.
eat healthy, to all the moms who've logged in, very simple piece of advice. If you would take it, it'll be wonderful. When you're feeding your child, make sure the plate is like a rainbow, like how they have color pencils with all the colors. Yes, a painting becomes beautiful with all the colors. The meal also becomes the right meal with all the colors.
Yeah, interesting. And now that you guys cook together, you spend a lot of time in the kitchen with each other. Tell me, what does that feel like? What do you like the most about cooking, Gunme?
It's really fun, and
He comes with his tab in the kitchen, so he's watching his series, whatever he wants to watch, and he's working, multitasking while.
Oh, okay. And do you think that cooking, like you said, your house doesn't have a gender specific kitchen, which is a wonderful thing. So tell us what life skills cooking actually builds for people, because there's a lot of this thing, oh, cooking is not for me. It's a basic life skill. It's something you need to survive.
We all need food to eat.
Yeah,
Is that gender specific?
absolutely not.
No. So why is the cooking gender specific?
I don't know. Let ask them.
So that's the point. We all need
Yeah.
food to eat, and it's a very basic skill. See, it may look like it's only cooking, but there's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a little bit of calculation. Oh my God, if I've increased this now, what am I going to reduce? What am I? How do I fix it? There's a lot of teamwork also that goes into it. So it's not just cooking.
Right.
And it's like the child's imagination also. Now, if it has got goofed up, how do you correct it? Because even in life, everything is not going to be like, I'm going to do step A, B, C, and I'm going to get D. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So, you've put something and oh my God, you baked something and today it got burnt or it's got cooked less. How do you fix it? You're not just going to throw it off the whole thing. How do you fix it and then make sure it's palatable? Yeah. So that's one of the very important skill. And then the other important thing is then the child learns to value the food, because he or she himself has spent so much of time to put that dish together, and then they know it's not like a 2-minute thing and you just got it there.
Yeah, very, very true. And
yeah, because if
parents who are watching,
if he wants to bake a bread or something, so he plans it out. Oh, 11 o'clock I'll need it. Then I'll, first time, then 3 hours I have to let it set. Then after that, so I will bake it at 5 and it will be ready by this time. So it's like you got to plan, you got to think ahead.
Right. Very true. Yeah. So I think cooking also sort of, builds your finer skills as well. Yes. I would assume, that that's something else that happens for children. But how do parents get kids interested in the first place? If they're parents watching, what are some tips you would give them to get kids interested in cooking?
Yeah, actually, all our house tasks in the house, we've always involved kids, even when they were as young as 3 years old. So simple tasks, like maybe putting your shoes in where they are supposed to go. Small little tasks. Okay, if we've got groceries from out, okay, pass me one packet in the kitchen. Right. So it's like a teamwork for most of the stuff. If, I'm cooking and they were small, okay, put the plates and everything on the dining table. Right. So when you start getting the kids involved in the day-to-day chores of the house at whatever level and age appropriate for them, then it becomes like the house responsibility is a teamwork. It's not just mommy running around and everybody else enjoying.
Right.
I think that's very important to inculcate in the child right from a very young age. And however, for some parents, they've not been able to do it in the initial years. It's always better to start late than never do it.
True.
Yeah, so at whatever age the child is, so what really helped is like with him, initially I would just ask him to pass me the vegetables. Now when he cooks, I'm with him in the kitchen. I do the chopping and give it to him. He will then put everything together.
Hmm.
What he's also learned is after working, clearing up the mess that he makes. That is so important.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, I agree with you on that, because even today, when I come from Pune to Bangalore and I'm cooking in my mom's kitchen, the first thing is clean my kitchen. So I think that's very important, and that is something I carry home when I go back to Pune as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is really interesting to see, children getting interested in cooking and spending that time with mom in the kitchen or dad in the kitchen. Do you feel like it also strengthens your bond?
Absolutely. So last year, I honestly don't know the Dalgona coffee. So obviously the Insta and the tech world and the influence. So he's looked up how it needs to be done and everything. And, have to make this. So he'll discuss with me some recipes. We'll discuss, can we do this for Mother's Day? I said, no, you first share the recipe. Then we kind of discuss of any particular recipe or some new thing he would have seen on Insta. So we kind of discuss, okay, how we can tweak this ingredient with this, and then it will be better for us to eat. This is not the right ingredient. We go together shopping crockery. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Because his food has to be played in the right plate.
Right. Of course.
We've done that together, so it really helps to connect and chit chat about those other things also, which are more fun rather than your regular stuff, your studies and how is your their own friends.
Yeah,
But
of course.
yeah, so uh, this is just another aspect that's got added.
Yeah, I think when you find something common to do with your child, it's a lifelong thing, And Gurme, you love presenting your food well, like obviously it shows, and you do workshops also for the kids.
Yes.
We'll talk about your workshops and all of that in some time, but tell me, what has the response been like?
So the response has been pretty good, and it was that good that we couldn't keep everyone in one workshop because it needs to be a little personalized. Also, it
Mm-hmm.
cannot be similar. So we have kept not only one, but we have kept two batches. Which one batch is starting on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have kept two batches, and because you don't want to keep so many people in one batch that it's not giving enough attention and it's not personalized.
So, what do you teach in your workshops?
So the current workshop is for 5 days, where each day we teach a new recipe to. This particular workshop is an only dessert workshop. So it has cakes, now waffles, cinnamon rolls, brownies, laddus, and
Cheesecake.
yeah, cheesecake, mango cheese.
Oh, wow. Damn nice. Yeah, very interesting. So,
Thank you.
so are the kids able to follow and actually make these things
Yeah,
well?
many kids had said their almost all kids had said like after we teach them like in the coming day or that day only respective day they make it and then they click pictures and send it in the group and it always and if they have any doubts like they are making and they are stuck in between they can just message in the WhatsApp group and we will respond at that time what you can do.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
How does that make you feel, Ruchika, when you see your son teaching people and then them sending recipes back? How does that make you feel?
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's such a treat to watch the kids. They're glued to their screens like this when he's cooking. And then they will ask, okay, how much did you put this? I don't have this. What can I add instead of this? So it was the first time was I couldn't believe it that the kids were actually glued. One of the kid from Bombay started crying because her mother forgot one of the days to log in, and the kid is crying because of you I missed it, and today was also the class.
Oh, so sweet. That is really nice. That's really nice to hear. And
And then the kids would make the same thing, what he's taught them in the morning. And then in the evening, we would have our WhatsApp group loaded with all the pictures, each one trying it out, the dishes. It's very nice to see kids picking up these basic skills, survival skills, which are so important today.
Yeah.
Because when you grow up, even when you're going out to study or for work, you're not dependent on anyone.
Correct. Absolutely. And Gunman, your mom said that somebody asks you for a substitute. I don't have this. What do I put in its place? So do you always have your answers ready? And if you do, how do you learn about food? Where do you learn about food from?
So, I will not say always like 100% of the time perfect answers, but yes, I like to be like pre-prepared. So I will say 90% of the times, like I know that whatever things are there, I make sure that there's a substitute to almost every ingredient in the recipe. And mostly it's just my mother who tells me like, you can do this instead of this. You can add this.
Okay. Okay, so it's mom training you. So do you want to take
with
this
a lot of effort? No, I wouldn't say it's like 100% my training. Honestly, the garlic bread that he makes, I don't know how to make it. I'm out of the kitchen and he makes it on his own. I just chop the vegetables and give him what needs to go in, and that's it. And then I just go and enjoy, and the garlic bread comes ready for me.
Wow, that's very nice. So do you think that this is something that you would like to do as a career? I know it's too early, but just do you think of yourself as a chef, or do you?
Yes, I think so. Yes, sometimes.
He's still not sure. Even we checked with him if he would want to enroll to some, baking school or anywhere else. He wants to do something, but at this age, they have too many aspirations. They can't settle down on one.
So what is your current one? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Nothing. I haven't thought of it properly.
YouTuber.
Yeah.
YouTube. You can combine the two, man. The best thing to do, cooking and YouTube. Oh, so interesting. They have so many options, right, today to really do well if they have the skills. So I think the more parents try to find these skills, and that's wonderful that you actually found his skill, one of his main skills, which could help him in a lot of different ways. Besides being a life skill, it could tomorrow become a career.
Absolutely, and we are okay to support that as long as he wants to do it.
Yeah. So I think this is why it is very important that parents and children try to discover activities together, because you don't know where it's going to go.
Absolutely.
And if nothing, it's fun. Right?
Yeah, we're not looking at it as a career for him at this point of time. If he wants to, we are happy to support.
And now we are in the the pandemic, and and this time it's even worse than it was last year in terms of how people are getting affected, and there's a lot of stress in general because people have also have the economy and this and that to worry about. So how can food help?
So the kind of food that we eat has a lot of impact on our emotions and also on our gut health. The kind of gut, we say, gut feel, gut health is very important. Gut, now you have the right kind of gut health only over a period of time with the kind of food that you've eaten.
Right.
And, it's very important at this time to make sure we eat healthy, balanced food so that our body is not fighting with the digestion process. That is what happens most of the times. Our food is such which a lot of times which keeps our energy levels low.
Right.
We feel, and with the amount of negative news and too much of news around the not so good news of COVID, and when we are surrounded by all of this, automatically that also plays an impact on our energy levels keep coming down. So at that time, when we say in Sanskrit or in our ancient texts, we called it as prana. There is prana in everything, which is the energy, prana, the energy, the vital force. So foods which have a higher prana level keep your prana level, your vital energy also higher.
Right.
foods which are lower. So we have this concept of tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic foods. Our ancient scriptures talk about that. So tamasic foods are obviously keeping us lower. Our sattvic foods keep our energy levels higher. So at most of the religious places also, we are served more sattvic foods.
Right.
Yeah.
So my last question to you is, before we go into announcing our competition that's coming up and everything, what are some tips that you can share for somebody who is struggling with making that shift from an unhealthy pattern to a better eating pattern?
Okay. Just remember the word KISS.
Easy.
Yeah. Keep it simple and sustainable. That's the mantra. Keep it simple and sustainable. Now, what I mean by that is, right at whatever health level you are at, you don't need to jump and straight away say, from tomorrow, I'm going to do this. No, keep it simple. Take baby steps, but make sure you're taking that step.
Right.
For example, now typically in terms of food, I would explain it. For example, if you enjoy eating fried foods, we know too much of fat and oil is not good for our health, and especially now people who are a little on the obese side. Not just COVID, but it's a welcome sign to a lot of other health issues, obesity.
Right.
So simple things like, okay, I'm going to cut down on my fried foods. I'm going to cut down on my sodas. I'm going to cut down on bakery items, which have a lot of, fat and sugar.
Right.
I'm going to cut down on these. Start with small baby things. Maybe just 1 week, I'm going to go off bakery items. As simple as that, 1 week. So probably if you were eating a bread or a toast for breakfast, you would switch that to a more healthier option of an upma or a poha, or some fruits, whatever is doable for you. So taking small baby steps, measuring those, celebrating the success rather than torturing yourself every time. No, this is not good enough. No, just keep the comparison to yourself from where you started and where you've reached, and then slowly keep moving towards the better version of you. That's important. So keep it simple and which is sustainable. Not week 1, I've done everything. Week 2, I am exhausted and I can't sustain it. So that becomes part of what you've done in week 1. Week 2, then we see if you can add or tweak or make one more small change.
Right.
And then take it forward. And slowly over a period of time, it gets developed. See, any habit to change or to develop takes a minimum of 21 days. So give yourself that time rather than push everything in at one go.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's as simple as it is. Make small changes, make one change at a time, and if you do slip here and there, don't let the guilt,
absolutely,
sort of take over.
It's okay. Come back to track.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a great talk with you and Gunmay. And so now we have something interesting for all of you. We know Father's Day is coming up soon. So we are going to have a father and son/daughter cooking challenge, and we will be sharing details of the same both on our page, which is hoopsters.in, and Ruchika's page, Our Health and Wellness. Please watch these spaces. We share everywhere on our Instagram, on Facebook. You can follow us at @hoopsters.in, and please share your handle.
Yeah, Our Health and Wellness.
Just Our Health and Wellness, hoopsters.in. Keep an eye out. We're going to have this fun challenge for dads and kids. And we want to see all of you cooking well and having fun. Absolutely. Is there anything you want to add, Ruchika?
Yes, so we're doing another workshop for all the children with Gunmay on next, I think it's the 29th. 29th. So all the kids wear aprons and be ready. We're going to be sharing 2 very simple, easy, and doable recipes for you. In case you want a particular recipe to be taught, if you have a liking for a particular recipe, do write to us, and we might pick that up if there are too many people asking for a particular dish. Yes.
So to write to you, they log on to your Instagram?
No, they can just either put it on Hoopsters or Our Health and Wellness if they want a particular recipe to be featured. We'll look into that request as well, and then we can bring that up in the workshop as well.
Right. So parents, if your kids have any interest in cooking, please make sure you enroll for this workshop. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun. And on that
even
note,
moms can join. Even I don't know the garlic bread. I don't know the pizza.
Moms, please go ahead then. Moms, dads, everyone's welcome to join these workshops.
Yeah, anyone. So as long as the whole family gets to eat it.
So something interesting for us to do while we wait for things to open up. So go ahead, enroll, and keep your eye out for this cooking challenge with dads and kids. And on that note, I'd like to sign off. Thank you all for staying with us through the hour. And thank you, Ruchika. Thank you, Gudma. That was a fun talk. And I'm looking forward to your workshop. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye, guys.